Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Trader Summit, and with me today I have Mr. Richard Matthews of Pardus FX, and we're going to talk about all sorts of things today. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. First day of summer. You can actually see a bit of sun reflecting on my bookcase behind me and
Oh, it's
my
shimmering and
bald head.
beautiful, I must say. Well, you've been right about the cable. Let's
Yeah,
start there. The pound actually broke out above, that big resistance that we had around the 124.40s. We
yeah.
broke out. It looks like we're sustaining our breakout. What do you make of this move and why?
Uh, Actually, quietly, I noticed that it was the best performing currency in the G10 in the first quarter of this year, which I was really surprised at when I looked back and saw that. I read a little bit about that on Monday. Certainly top of the pops. 9-month high today. I think that is it a triple top that it's broken through. I'm not a chartist, but I think that's really quite bullish.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's big. We've had a great consolidation and it is breaking out and
yeah,
above recent highs. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think I said last week, if it got up here, I'd look to go short, but I covered my short at 125 and look to reverse that and go long. And I'd be tempted now to get long. I think 126 and a half, 130, probably the target. I think there's a chart target 131.75 that people are looking for. I don't know. People seem to like it. I think they like this trade deal we've done with the Pacific. Seems looking good. I think that long term will be a great investment for us or a great trade deal for us. It might be a backdoor into the States. And I just get a feel good feeling about it. I think all the things I was worried about Sunak, I think he's doing well. He's holding it together. So yeah, really odd. I like sterling for once in my life.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, this is definitely a change of pace, but I do have to recognize last week you're bullish the sterling over the euro and even over the pound over the dollar because of some of these banking fears. But
Yeah.
let's talk about the moves that we saw last weekend with crude oil and OPEC. What are your thoughts regarding that? Since the UK is still a pretty energy heavy country.
Yeah. I thought it was a real slap in the face to Biden by the Saudis. I think he was still a bit short of oil, aren't you? And I think they offered to sell him some and he turned it down. And I think they got really annoyed with him. Because I think I said last week that this unholy alliance of the Saudis and the Russians and the Chinese, it's not good for the West. They're going to hurt us one way or another. Interestingly, though, I think that's inflationary. Sure as damn it will be inflationary both for the States and over here. I also see other signs of inflation now. I'm not a grain trader, but I see the wheat's really, really bid. You've got a drought in the Midwest, have you? Is that correct?
I'm not a weatherman, and so I'm
Caught
not
you
paying
out.
attention to what wheat is doing right at
Yeah,
this very moment. We have a torrential downpours on the west coast of the United States. Midwest, we might be dealing with a drought.
yeah. Well, I read it today, and that I think Argentina's got a drought as well, which is a very big wheat producer. Plus, of course, Ukraine can't produce wheat, so you could see a bit of squeeze on food prices, which is still, to me, certainly over here driving inflation. But there's signs of recession there. I think M2 slowing down, money supply slowing down. The jobs number weren't brilliant today, although not brilliant, just shy of 10 million job openings. It's unbelievable, but still not brilliant. So you've got the first signs of recession there, and you've got signs of inflation. I'm the one who thinks that you should bust inflation, but I think I'm in the minority there, and people are looking for the Fed to pivot, and that's all they want to see is the Fed pivot. I just don't think they will, but
Okay, so that puts us in a really interesting predicament based on what your thoughts are, and I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree that the Fed won't pivot unless there's some major crisis that they need to stomp out. If it was a
yeah,
big bank versus some 20th largest bank in the United States or whatever
yeah,
SFB was, if you're talking one of the big institutions, then we got a problem. But unless we have that, I feel that the Fed's going to stay steady with
yeah,
monetary policy. But let's say we start to see these recession fears pick up, especially with the jobs report. We can talk about that in a second. That'll be later this week. If we continue to feel the fears or see the fears of a recession, do you run out and buy the dollar at this stage of in the game?
No,
you don't.
I don't.
Why do you feel that way?
Because I think the market's looking for Fed pivot, and as soon as they see any signs of recession, they'll sniff a Fed pivot and they'll sell the dollar. Whether that's, I think it's incorrect, but I think that's the market logic. And don't fight the market. Don't fight the Fed and don't fight the market. So I'd probably stay sidelined. I might run with this. I think there's one or two other things a little bit worrying for the dollar. These odd things going on in the background, like India selling stuff in rupees now, not dollars. China's obviously trying to push the dollar down. I don't think it's going to be a major thing, but I think you just got to be a little bit aware of that going on in the background. It just feels that people want to sell the dollar. And if people want to sell the dollar, I'm not going to stand in their way.
You know what's interesting, Dick, and I think about like the months coming into the great financial crisis and the collapse of Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns. The months prior to that, I remember as a currency trader that many countries were trying to deal outside of the U.S. dollar, and you had Russia, namely at that time, and Saudi. And some of the Middle East that were trying to, exclude the dollar, out of the transactions. And what they all found themselves in is in a pickle when there was a financial crisis, and then there was a huge rush for dollars, and probably precipitated the rally of the dollar significantly as a result. And I wonder if we're in a situation like that, or getting into a situation like that now.
So it's very geopolitical, isn't it? I mean, I think the Saudis, obviously, they've been upset by Biden. They see their best new friends in Russia. Russia's got an influence in, an interest in squeezing oil higher. India will tend to deal with whoever's giving them the best deal. China wants to, promote itself. So that, there's some powerful interest there in demoting the dollar from being the world's reserve currency. I just don't see it happening at the moment. And I saw an interesting comment by Jamie Dimon, who I've got a lot of time for. He's a great banker, that he's not convinced that the banking crisis is over. And I'm just wondering whether he's seeing something which we're not. And people haven't picked up on that. So if you get a banking crisis, counterintuitively, you'd buy the dollar. Because I think, unless it's in Europe, but if it was in the US, you'd probably buy the dollar, because you can't buy the Swiss franc. The euro, I still think, has these problems in the banking sector. You probably buy the yen, you might even buy sterling, and you buy the dollar. So I know I'm saying sell the dollar, buy sterling, just on that one trade. But I think people just are wishing the dollar goes down. They're trying to push it, and they're trying to find reasons why they're selling it. They're hanging their hat on, it's not going to be reserve currency. This is happening, that's happening. And don't stand in their way. I think maybe cable's a special case, and it's performing on the charts. I don't know what a great chart is, but I feel maybe that's a special case, and they're wrong in what they're thinking. But I don't want to stand in their way.
Well, how about currencies like that used to perform well in years past, like the yen, especially if they start adjusting yield curve control, and we have a new BOJ governor coming in.
Yeah, I like the yen, actually. I think it's boring and stable. So I'd be looking to get longer yen, longer sterling. I don't know about commodity currencies, whether I'd buy the loonie. I don't know. Would you buy it on the back of oil and
no, I'd not after it's a move it's already made, but that's me. That's me. Yeah.
And the other thing I think is interesting is that people say, the RBA, Reserve Bank, Royal Bank of Australia. I get shot to say that.
I know. You throw Royal out there, and maybe it's the Royal Bank of New Zealand. Just kidding.
It was once the Royal Bank of Canada. Yeah. Then they changed it. But people say, they pivoted. They haven't pivoted. They just haven't moved rates. And what goes on in Australia has no relation to what goes on in America or in the UK or in Europe in terms of inflation. Food price inflation, I keep going on about it, it's like 17.4% in the UK. It's horrifying, you know, and you get idiots in the Bank of England, Tenray Road today saying that, you know, interest rates don't need to go up. I mean, it's bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Anyway, so what's the bet on non-farm this Friday when everyone's enjoying themselves?
Yeah, everybody else is enjoying Good Friday, and those lone souls like myself and probably 4 or 5 other people, joking, are going to be watching the jobs report. You know, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit weaker number. I mean, what are your thoughts there? I mean, everybody's looking for above 200,000. I wouldn't be surprised if it came in below that.
Well, I'm going to doff my cap to, if I had my cap on, to Michael Brown, who's pointed out that the last 11 figures have beaten expectations on the upside. And you've never seen such a run as that, which I didn't know. I don't sit there looking at that. I think it's going to disappoint.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll see if that's what we're going to get. You know, we live in a crazy world, Mr. Matthews, and
we do indeed.
We do. And how do you help guide the folks there at Pardus FX around? What do you do over there at Pardus FX?
I try and talk some sense and see a way through these crazy markets, which gets harder and harder and harder because they do defy logic at the moment. So, you know, I try and help some of our clients, high net worth individuals and businesses through these crazy markets. And, you know, that's the way it goes.
Well, if you love what Mr. Matthews does here for you, make sure you give him a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below so you don't miss any of this content. Dick, it's good to sit with you, and it was always good to catch up with you every week. I want to thank you for being with us today.
And happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you. Hey traders, Blake Morrow here. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also click the bell notifications so you do not miss any of our market-related trading analysis from some of the leading industry experts. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in the next video.